Hello and welcome to Breaking the Bad News. I am the bearer of bad news. My name is Charlie. Of course, this channel hasn't been like this at all. It's been all crappy vlogs with black bars on either side of me. But I don't want to do that anymore. I want to actually put in some quality work into my videos, because if I didn't, then I'd just become Onision. In this show, I'm going to be discussing a multitude of news articles that have been affecting the world over the past week. So rather than me babbling on about this, I'm just going to go and get straight into it. In the worldly news today, North Korea is going completely crazy. You probably know that North Korea has threatened to attack the world and is making all these sorts of threats towards the US and South Korea. They, of course, have released this frightening map that details all the different regions that the North Korean missiles can hit. But, of course, this range does include the US Isle of Guam, Alaska, all of South Korea and most of Asia, as well as the top of Australia. Thank God that the UK isn't in there. The president of China, how do you say that? The president of China, Xi Jinping, has delivered a statement about the whole North Korea thing. He said no one should be allowed to throw a whole... It's kind of interesting that something could go so completely mental that China could sound like the voice of reason. It's been revealed recently that there's been barely any contact between China, who were previously like North Korea's best buddies, since February when the nuclear tests have begun. So I think what this really comes down to is, please don't nuke me, just Kim Jong-un trying to show his tough side. Of course, the college humor videos have done enough of that, but he wants to show it even more. He wants to outweigh the horrible person that his father was. And he wants to become the new big bad guy. He wants to be the Joker. He wants to be Lex Luthor. He wants to be Kim Jong-un. Being rumoured that the missiles are going to launch on the 15th of April, which marks the anniversary of the birth of Kim Il-sung. Of course, there is some silver lining in this. The US and South Korea are talking about an alliance to secure the North-South divide. Let's just hope that another war doesn't come out of this. In slightly less depressing news, Margaret Thatcher died. Yes, this even sparked mass sales in the UK iTunes chart, putting Ding Dong the Witch is Dead from The Wizard of Oz at the top of the charts. Yeah, to say that the internet handled this death well is... well, it's a lie. It was pretty clear to see that when I saw Margaret Thatcher trending for the first time, I clicked on it and Twitter wasn't exactly mourning her. I saw quite a few people on there that came from miners' towns that were like, yeah! And I'm assuming that the Argentinian president is probably like, yeah! Considering I was born 4 years after she left office, I really have no scope around what she did that made her so evil. Also, I really don't care for politics. This was made even funnier by a police officer named Sergeant Jeremy Scott, who tweeted, and I quote, "I hope Baroness Thatcher's death is painful and degrading." He also claimed that her death was 87 years too late, and added that the world is now a... See, this is just straight up Adam Orth territory. When you're in a position of power in an organization, you can't tweet these things. I'm sorry, like, I can tweet them because I don't have a job, so I have nothing to risk. But if I was in a position where I needed to represent what I was a part of, then Why would you tweet these things? Like, he also expressed a wish that the current Prime Minister, James Cameron, as well as the Chancellor of Exchequer, Ozzy Osbourne, and the Home Secretary, May Parker, were next. Why would you tweet these things? It's good that he resigned, because there is no way that someone stupid enough to tweet these things should be in a position of power where he can enforce the law upon others. Look, a cat! Nevertheless, I don't like to celebrate people's deaths, even if they've done horrible things, so I do wish her to rest in peace. So, a group of Canadian scientists have recently discovered that listening to music is rewarding for your brain. Using MRI scans, this team of scientists discovered that the reward centre of your brain is active when you're hearing a new song for the first time. Am I the only one that thinks that sounds dumb? I don't care if it's scientific or it's fact or not. The reward centre of your brain, that can't be a thing. I am Googling this right now. Holy shit, it is. Dr. Valerie Salimpour, that's another hard name to say. What is with all these people with weird names? Is it like political correctness or something? Every 1 in 5 people has to have an odd name in the news. Dr. Valerie Salimpour said that because music is abstract, it's not like when you're really hungry and you are really excited about eating food, which also triggers the reward center in your brain. It's because it's so abstract, listening to something new is a completely different experience for your brain, and that's why this reward center is activated. So it's like you losing your virginity. I'm a person that listens to the radio a lot, so I guess this happens to me fairly frequently. This, in all honesty, is pretty awesome stuff, but what I'd like to know is, how are we rewarded for listening to lots of new music? Is it just like it expands our knowledge or something? Because that would be pretty boring. Like, if listening to music could help me pass my exams, then I would be set. In tech news, top porn sites pose risks to malware. Wait, the news has only just found this out. Yes, it's being discovered that advertisements triggered by the porn sites are installing malware onto people's systems. A researcher called Conrad Longmore explained that these sort of malicious advertisements are called by him malvertising. Am I the only one that hates buzzwords like that? Now, because I don't want any of you dirty viewers of mine to be getting a virus on your computer, I'm going to be putting a list of all the sites that are known to have malicious advertisements on them now. There you go. I find this completely idiotic, considering what sort of information do you expect to gain from this sort of thing? If they're expecting to uncover some sort of crucial bank account details, then most porn sites are free, plus if someone has the money and they're just lonely enough to be watching porn, then they just hire a prostitute. I just find it sad that we're constantly bombarded by all these safe sex campaigns, and yet now we can't even have a wank without getting a virus. In entertainment, one of my favourite movies of this year is being banned by China.
Just as I was saying that they sounded reasonable.
Yes, Oscar-winning film Django Unchained, directed by my favourite filmmaker of all time, Quentin Tarantino, has had its opening cancelled in China. China's State Administration for Radio, Film and Television, which is notable for its censoring, has decided to censor the amount and colour of blood in Django Unchained. Considering Django Unchained is Quentin Tarantino's bloodiest film since his last one. I mean, I may be a Quentin Tarantino fanboy here, considering I own all of his movies. I'm lending Death Proof to a friend, shut up. Talk about artistic expression. Like, Quentin Tarantino has some of the most bloody films outside of the horror genre of all time. Django Unchained is, in my opinion, the best film that has come out this year so far. I just don't understand it. I was actually surprised when Tarantino said that he viewed the changes as more progress rather than a compromise. But still, this is still censorship of artistic expression, and it needs to be toned down. Like, China just go over the top with this censorship sometimes. Oh, look at that. Radio 1 just said that they're not going to be playing the Wicked Witch song. More positive light, organ donation has skyrocketed in the past 5 years, according to the NHS Blood and Transplants. More than 1,200 people, including myself, donated their organs to the NHS last year. Yeah, look at my donor card. How amazing am I? I am literally the best person on earth. And over 3,100 organ transplants have been made because of these skyrocketing of donations. Like, this is just fantastic, seeing that people are being less squeamish about what happens to them after they die. Like, the way I see it, you're either going to be put in a box and buried, or you're going to be put in a box and burnt. Either way, you're still going to be put in a box. You might as well make something useful happen out of that. I would rather see what is a part of me that is still useful going to a better cause after I am no longer of use to this world. I'm not of much use to this world at the moment, but who cares? In the end, this isn't Egyptian times. We don't need to keep our organs in a jar so we can take them to the underworld and transfer over to the next life. This is the 21st century. There is literally no reason why you shouldn't donate your organs, unless in the future there turns out to be some way of bringing you back to life. 300, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Oh yeah, NHS? Yeah, how do I opt out of the organ donor register? Oh, because I've just realised that in the future my organs might be of use, because there might be a way of bringing me back to life. I don't know, by putting myself in a robot body or something. Really, I'm the 5th person to have asked for that this week. In all honesty, this is fantastic news for the world in general, apart from the people that have the displeasure of taking out your organs after you've died. They now have to do a lot more of that.